If you find me real late at night, not even trying to go to sleep when I'm supposed to be awake in 4 hours to go to work, just because I'm looking at my phone, I'm probably looking at professional wrestling championship histories. I'm just a cool guy like that. Every company has their own quirks and gimmicks and ideas that they run on these championships, especially if you exit the American bubble. It can be quite fascinating. For example, the oldest currently active championship in the world is sanctioned by CMLL in Mexico. It's the Mexican National Welterweight Championship, and it was established in June 1943, 14 years before the NWA World Championship was established. The All-Asia Tag Team Championships are the oldest currently active championships in Japan. They were established in November of 1955. All Japan Pro Wrestling actually still uses the championship belts that were made in 1976, making these also the oldest active belts, like the actual just belt itself. Look how beat up they are. I think it's pretty cool. When you really peel back the layers and look at WWE's championship lineage, though, you find that they reboot and move things around and mix things up so often that it kind of becomes a mess. I'm surprised that I don't hear more about this. I'm really honestly surprised I don't hear people talking about this, honestly. As of the year 2000, the WWF sanctioned the WWF Championship, the Intercontinental European Women's Tag Team Light Heavyweight and Hardcore titles. And this was probably a little too much, but fine. Everything had its own niche. There was kind of a hierarchy going on. Not necessarily this, but it was there. Everything had its own little gimmick, and there was also the light heavyweight title. But then things got all fucked up with the acquisition of WCW. See, the initial plan was that they were going to continue to run WCW as its own brand. Legend has it that SmackDown was supposed to be the WWF brand, and Raw was going to become the WCW brand. Whatever that was going to look like being abandoned for what they went with, like the Raw brand and the SmackDown brand under just the WWE umbrella. But with the initial plan being each brand would have a show, WCW, they brought over the WCW, the US, the Tag Team, and the Cruiserweight Championship with no analog for the Hardcore European or Women's Championship. This started a chain reaction of fucked up booking that is still present to this day. We can talk about it if you want to.
With WCW. And the name on the contract does say McMahon. However, the contract reads Shane McMahon.
It all started in 2001 during the Invasion angle. Much has been said about how they fumbled the WCW-ECW Alliance invasion, so we're not going to really get into that. But understand, these belts were flip-flopped and traded like crazy, particularly the WCW Tag Team Championship. You know, fun fact about the WCW Tag Team Championship, they started out as the NWA Tag Team Championship. But they weren't actually the NWA Tag Team Championship because there was no sanctioned NWA Tag Team Championship. You see, the NWA, with all the territories and stuff, tag team wrestling wasn't universally popular among all the territories, so they just never bothered sanctioning the title. But as its chief brand, or a partner, or whatever you want to say, WCW, then Georgia Championship Wrestling, called their tag team titles the NWA tag team titles. Now, when WCW changed its name and thus changed the name of its tag team titles, the NWA did officially sanction NWA tag team championships, which were won by Dr. Death Steve Williams and Terry Gordy, who were at that time also the WCW tag team champions. So as a result, the NWA Tag Team Championship and the WCW Tag Team Championship were actually defended together up until 1993, when WCW officially broke off. Now, in 2008, the NWA said that didn't count, so this was all moot and pointless. Are you following me so far? I think some of the idea was they were going to kind of bolster the resumes of some of their guys using these belts. The Hardys and the Dudleys are former WCW Tag Team Champions. So are The Undertaker and Kane. Isn't that weird as shit? Anyway, so before Survivor Series 2001, forgotten WWF Commissioner Mick Foley comes out and says we got too many championships. Says we're going to unify the Tag Team and Intercontinental and United States Championships respectively. The idea of unifying the Cruiserweight and Light Heavyweight titles is discussed, but instead they just use the opportunity to bury X-Pac.
I guess maybe I should be consolidating the WWF Light Heavyweight and the WCW Cruiserweight Champion. There's only one problem. X-Pac's MIA, nobody knows where he is, and not a whole lot of people seem to care.
So Edge and the Dudleys are the final champions of each respective division of the United States and the Tag Team titles. I think I said that backwards. No, I said that right. So X-Pac, when he returned from his injury, would simply not have the Light Heavyweight Championship. This leaves us with the WWF Intercontinental Tag Team Women's, European, and the newly rechristened Cruiserweight and the World Championship. But not to worry, the fact that there are two world-level championships is soon rectified. They would have a tournament at the following pay-per-view, which would unify these two belts. This is the famous night that Chris Jericho would beat The Rock and Stone Cold in the same night to unify the belts. Kurt Angle was also in that little tournament. This leads us nicely into...
Good evening.
So remember how I said WWE wanted to operate two separate competing brands? It's time. So in March of 2002, after some storyline shenanigans and hustle and bustle about what was going on with these brands, Ric Flair would be the general manager of Raw, and Vince McMahon would be in charge general manager of SmackDown. Initially, the WWE title, then known as the WWE Undisputed Championship, would appear on both brands. And how this would normally work is like if on Raw, the champion would be feuding with the number one contender, and then on SmackDown, their top feud would be about becoming the number one contender, so that the next month it would kind of flip-flop. I thought that was kind of neat. Like the champion would be still on SmackDown, but they would be kind of doing their own thing. This led to fun stuff like the Undertaker and Jeff Hardy ladder match. It led to weird stuff too, like the Undertaker dragging Hulk Hogan behind his motorcycle, and then he was fine on SmackDown. That was just for the men's title though. The women's championship wasn't booked that often in 2002. Are you crazy? This doesn't last long though. Eventually the dust settles and we end up with Raw having the Intercontinental European Tag Team Women's and Hardcore Championships, while SmackDown would have the WWE and Cruiserweight title. This is, as you can see, a little bit lopsided. So what we went with was actually kind of a neat idea. See, Intercontinental Champion Rob Van Dam would defeat Jeff Hardy, the European Champion, and Tommy Dreamer, the Hardcore Champion, in unification matches, making him something of a champion of champions, if you will. See, legend has it the initial idea was that there would be one single top men's title for each brand. You know, the Intercontinental Championship on Raw, WWE Championship on SmackDown, and then the women's and cruiserweight titles would kind of serve as like specialty singles belts. Like, you know, like the Raw would have the women's division, SmackDown would have the cruiserweight division. That makes kind of sense, I guess. There quickly became one small problem though.
Time to play the game. Time to play the game.
As friend of the channel, Triple H returned from his big injury. Legend states that he saw the Intercontinental Championship as beneath him. You know, if he was going to be the top guy on Raw, he needed to be the top guy. And that meant new hardware. So they quickly introduced the World Championship. You know, the belt they rechristened unified, deactivated, and discarded within the last 6 months. Triple H was actually the one who handed the belt in, and now he was being handed the belt back. I mean, it's like weird. It's like, was there not any foresight about this at all? This might be controversial, but some wrestlers are marks. They want to be top guy, world champion, and you can't expect that type of guy to be happy wrestling for what was known historically as just a mid-card championship. So you bring back the world title, but it's not the world title. This is a new belt. This is a new lineage. We're starting over. This is the World Championship Mark II. But remember, the plan. Stick to the fucking plan. At No Mercy, Triple H defeats Kane to unify his World Championship with the Intercontinental Championship. You can be forgiven for forgetting such a major thing happened because that is not what this match is remembered for.
Let me ask you a question, Kane. How happy is Katie Vick? How when doctors did the autopsy on Katie Vick's body, the doctors found your semen.
You want me to?
So that's that, right? The end of a 23-year legacy. Rest in peace, Intercontinental Championship. But when one door closes, a window opens. And SmackDown crowned its new WWE Tag Team Championship. I looked all over WWE.com, but for some reason I couldn't find reference to who the first WWE Tag Team Champion was anywhere. Kind of odd, but whatever. My question is, though, if the plan was multiple brands, and we had this plan from the beginning, why did we get rid of the WCW Tag Team Championship? I mean, they must have known that the two brands would each need a Tag Team Championship, right? Especially if they already had them. Remember, they only got rid of them in November 2001. We're talking about October 2002. You're telling me you couldn't find anything to do with these belts for 11 months? I mean, not to armchair book a 24-year-old Angle, but you could have had like them get deactivated, or and have like a mid-card tag team get them, get the actual belts and declare themselves the champions. Then that could have played into the power story, or that could have played into the power struggle story with Vince and Rick, and had Rick could have been like, you guys got to defend those belts, and Vince would be like, I'm not sanctioning these belts, they don't have to defend them. And then eventually, maybe a big babyface team can finally get them back into a corner, and then they win the belts. And then on SmackDown, since they had the change up with Ric Flair being replaced with Eric Bischoff and Stephanie McMahon replacing Vince McMahon as the general managers, could have had Stephanie well, I'm not only sanctioning these belts, I'm renaming them to the WWE Tag Team Championship. How do you like that, Eric Bischoff, WCW guy? That took me 5 minutes of thinking. Give me $1 million, WWE. I know you have it. Take it from the money that you're paying Vince. I know you're still paying that old bitch.
Leave out 6 or 7 of those. The following contest is for the World Wrestling Federation Women's Championship, and it is the Gravy Bowl Invitational. It's women's!
So we haven't talked about the women yet. WWE has always had something of a tumultuous relationship, let's say, with its women's championship. It's women in general, actually. We don't even have to say that. From 1990 to the year 2000, this championship was only active for 4 non-consecutive years. Even in 2001, they didn't even bother actually officially taking the belt off of Chyna, even after she stopped appearing for the company. They didn't even bother declaring it vacant until November, when she left. One time, the belt changed hand after Deborah got stripped down by the then women's champion because, and I quote,
"See, as far as I'm concerned, with puppies like that, especially ones we haven't even seen already, I figure the woman who gets her evening gown taken off is the winner. So,
And I mean, the bumper I used for this chapter, what the fuck is a Gravy Bowl Invitational? At any rate, we had the Women's Championship was exclusive to the Raw brand. It's parallel to SmackDown's Cruiserweight Championship, something of a specialty title. Actually, as a matter of fact, I don't have much to say about the evolution of the Women's Championship. It eventually was unified and replaced with the Divas Championship, and that was of clear purpose. What the plan was there? There was insistent terminology. They're not wrestling fans, they're the WWE Universe. They're not professional wrestlers, they're WWE superstars. It's not pro wrestling, it's sports entertainment. And of course, they're not women, they're WWE Divas. So they renamed the belt the Divas Championship. That's kind of all that really meant. So the women's title got renamed the Divas title, got changed back to the women's title, became the Raw and SmackDown Women's Championship, and now they're the WWE Women's Championship and the Women's World Championship, just like the men's belts. It's not really relevant to the idea of this video even, because at least there was kind of a clear planned downline for this. It's kind of ironic that the belt with the least respect and attention actually had the cleanest go through, right? That's also why I'm not really going to talk about the ECW or the NXT UK titles, because even though the plan failed, there was at least a plan. And that's not to let other contemporaries off the hook either. WCW had a women's title. They gave the belt to Akira Hokuto. Great start. Akira Hokuto went off to Japan, so they just had Medusa do cock and ball fetish segments. I see you, Vince Russo. You're not slick.
She's grinding it in, Tony.
Well, yeah, I don't know.
Of course, there's also Extreme Championship. I promise, please, Kimono, we won't release the footage. We won't, I promise, wrestling. It's an industry full of scumbags. And while we've come a long way, we have a long way to go.
It was an enlightening tour as far as that goes. But it was enlightening too when you find out like Gene, hey, we meet with Shane, and Gene gives him a big hug and gives him a cigar, and we're the douchebags, and the three of us.
Gene, what's up, buddy?
Hey, brother.
Oh, hey, what's up, guys? Take a seat.
We got all the who's, but no tag teams, and even some legendary characters, but no tag
people don't
teams.
care about tag teams.
Well, that's it. I asked Shane. I said, "What does a tag team have to do to be on the walls here?" And he goes, well, not since Legion of Doom have I cared about a single tag team. So, and we look at the guys they have, like the 15 guys on the WrestleMania poster, and that's it.
The tag team division under Vince McMahon could be summed up as taking something that someone didn't care about at all, cutting it in half, and then giving each half the same amount of attention as they would have. The trajectory of the Tag Team Championship is also relatively clean after the introduction of the WWE Tag Team Championship. Just real quick, note the design. Reminiscent of the old World Tag Team Championship design, but with that little SmackDown blue accent, very classy, very nice. I actually like most of the tag team titles designs that we're going to talk about today. Even though I like the older WCW Tag Team Championships. What are you going to do? Then the belts get unified and we get these bad boys. Affectionately or disaffectionately, depending on your perspective, known as the penny belts. And, what a way to signal that you consider this a third-rate division than giving it a bronze championship. No, the way I think these belts are fucked up is actually pretty recent. So after the original brand split died and they gave it a second shot, can of worms by itself, the WWE Tag Team Championship became exclusive to the Raw brand, becoming the Raw Tag Team Championship. SmackDown, not to be one-upped, introduced their own SmackDown Tag Team Championship. But then, those belts were unified, becoming the undisputed WWE Tag Team Championship. They were never officially retired, though, because I think WWE was embarrassed about introducing a championship and then running out of ideas with it within 3 years. But this means, as while they were defended and referred to as a single championship, they were actually still two different titles, meaning everybody who won them during this time frame were two-time champions. Like if you won the undisputed tag team champion, you became a one-time Raw tag team champion and a one-time SmackDown tag team champion, which is a little silly if you ask me. And since this is my video, you're implicitly asking me. That's okay though, because just this year the belts became disputed again. The Raw Tag Team Championship would get renamed the World Tag Team Championship and get this design. Actually pretty classy. The SmackDown Tag Team Championship was renamed the WWE Tag Team Championship in line with its women's and men's titles, and we'll get to the men's titles, don't you worry. The thing I find fucked up is this Lineage though. The SmackDown exclusive WWE Tag Team Championship became the penny belts, which became the Raw Tag Team Championship, which became the World Tag Team Championship, not to be confused with the World Tag Team Championship that were unified with the WWE Tag Team Championship to become the penny belts. The SmackDown Tag Team Championship would become known as the WWE Tag Team Championship with this new design, which harkened back to the original design of the WWE Tag Team Championship, the original WWE Tag Team Championship, which is paying homage now to these belts. Another thing I find quite shocking is the apparent defense schedule. As of when I wrote these words, neither of these championship belts have been defended on any of their pay-per-view events since WrestleMania, which is where they became separated, disputed. The women's ones have been defended quite a few times though, which is good, I guess. But this is the goofy thing about it all. WWE's been doing these 5-match super shows, which is fine, but if even having a match is such a premium real estate, why would you separate these two belts when you already had them together? And there's even less chance for either of them to get defended now. And you don't even have a long-term plan. Judging by the fact that Motor City Machine Guns won the belts within like their first 2 weeks in the company, it seems like you don't have a plan for these things. And I mean, fair play. Put the belts on the Motor City Machine Guns. That's a good move. What I'm saying is, there doesn't seem like there's a long-term goal with this. Because you split the belts and now nothing's happening with either of them. I mean, the Motor City Machine Guns are a fantastic tag team, but they're no Legion of Doom.
Ric Flair still moving, looked like referee Mickey Hansen.
Come on, let him get that robe off at least.
Honestly, Ric Flair.
There is one moment, one brief, shining moment, that really encapsulates the fact that WWE had no fucking idea what to do with these belts. And well, right now, let's talk about it. Jumping back to our brand split shenanigans, and the Intercontinental Championship was discarded in favor of there being 3 belts on each brand: the World, the Tag, and the Specialty belts. We remember that, right? The thing that came out of this, though, is that idea didn't fucking work. So in May 2003, just 7 months after being unified with the World Heavyweight Championship, the WWE Intercontinental Championship was reintroduced to Raw in a Battle Royal. I'm severely tempted to go on a tangent, talk about how much I hate Battle Royals being used to determine champions, but I will resist. So Battle Royals being used to determine a new champion is really fucking stupid. There's like a core set of skills, I think, that you need to be in kayfabe a really good wrestler, and that's the ability to knock an opponent out, the ability to make an opponent submit, the ability to pin an opponent for a 3 count. Everything you do in a match is in service to doing one of these 3 things. Throwing someone over the top rope is not one of those things. You can throw someone over the top rope 30 times in a regular singles match. It would be no closer to winning the match than if you just didn't do that. At least like with a ladder match, there's kind of like a visual metaphor, like a king of like top of the mountain metaphor. You ascended, you climbed up high to get the belts. I don't know. It's kind of stupid too, but I get it. Anyway, Intercontinental Championship, back. United States Championship, back. But I will say, the United States Championship had, at the very least, been reintroduced in a tournament. That's a good move. They also put the belt on Eddie Guerrero. Always a great move. Unlike my suggestion with the tag belts, I don't think they could have gotten away with simply keeping the US title around as a ghost for 2 years. That being said, they did also just get rid of the European title a few months earlier. Did I write down how many months? A year? Fuck. But what I think of is more akin to the... like, you remember when New Japan unified its heavyweight title and intercontinental titles, and that became the world title? And then instead of elevating the US title, they kind of introduced a new belt that would become the global championship. They rejuvenated the thing. I think they should have done that with these, honestly, instead of just bringing back belts they already killed. What would they have called these belts? I don't know. WWE still owes me $1 million for the tag team idea, so I'm keeping my mouth shut.
Drum roll, please.
Drum roll, please.
Wait for it.
The WWE Universal Championship.
So here we are, the end of the world. Not with a bang, but a whimper, as they say. The last few years of the World Heavyweight Championship Mark II were characterized by underwhelming reigns, by underwhelming champions. I think the last critically acclaimed World Heavyweight Champion was Mark Henry's 2011 Hall of Pain run. It was the end of the first brand split that dealt the true killing blow to this championship, though. It became kind of seen as a secondary championship, like a glorified Intercontinental Championship, held by the likes of Dolph Ziggler and Alberto Del Rio. Indeed, after crunching the numbers on the computer, only 5 out of the 24 World Heavyweight Champions would ascend to becoming the WWE Champion. Another 8 would never win the WWE Championship at all, and of those 8, only 3 would ever rise to the level of World Champion material again. Of the 5 that didn't, 2 would regress to becoming mid-card singles champions again, and the other 3 would never be WWE champion again, of any type. The point being, if you weren't already there, this belt didn't represent a lot of upward mobility. In fact, of the 11-year span of this championship, only 2 men would win the title, regress down the card, and then come back up and become WWE champion again. And that's CM Punk and Randy Orton. 11-year history, I hear you say. Yes. In 2013, it was time for a change. John Cena and Randy Orton had a big old ladder match, and once again, the WWE and Big Gold Belt were unified. And so it was. Rest in peace, Big Gold Belt. We're too beautiful for this world. With only one brand, there was only one world champion necessary. It would be on both Raw and SmackDown. For a little while, at least. 3 years later, WWE decided, that brand split, really swell idea. Let's do that again. And when the WWE Championship once again became exclusive to SmackDown, once again we were introduced with a new championship for Raw. But not just a world championship, no. This is a universal championship. You can't get bigger than the universe. It's bigger than the world, the universe. You can't get bigger than the universe. And this title was accepted and beloved immediately by the WWE Universe.
Yourself that you don't want to think about. You only let out when you need to. It's a different level of aggression. Finn Balor, when he summons the Demon King, it's like a whole different person.
And look what Balor's doing. He's targeting the leg.
Seating eventually, but there's a lot of damage done. He was in that submission, that triangle, for a solid 20, 30 seconds.
You're a smart fella. I really admire that about you. You can see through the matrix. Your third eye is open. The wool hasn't been pulled over your eyes. No. You see this for what it really is. The World Heavyweight Championship Mark III. Third time's the charm, they say. And guys, the lineage of this title is fucked up. Very first champion Finn Balor would get injured in the very match he's crowned in, ending his reign after approximately 23 hours. He would never become world champion again. Kevin Owens would win the vacant championship 2 weeks later. He would go on to team with Chris Jericho with the very popular List of Jericho gimmick. He would lose the championship at Elimination Chamber. Goldberg, of all fucking people. He would never be world champion again. Though he has a shot lined up, apparently, as of writing, so who knows. Goldberg would lose that championship to Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania, where Brock would take it home with him. He would keep that title up until SummerSlam the following year, losing the championship to Roman Reigns. After a short time, very unfortunately, Roman Reigns would announce that he had leukemia and would have to drop the championship. WWE would give it back to Brock Lesnar, who would hold it till the following WrestleMania, meaning that he would hold the championship for 2 years while mostly being at home. Fuck. Seth and Brock would trade the championship back and forth up until losing it to the fucking Fiend? Then Goldberg, then Braun Strowman? And back to the fucking Fiend? Jesus. Which brings us back to the modern-ish era. Roman Reigns, back in business, would win the championship and hold it for 1,316 fucking days as part of the hugely popular Bloodline storyline. He would also incorporate going home with the belt for a really long time. Not to be outdone by Brock Lesnar, he would also incorporate Brock Lesnar's WWE Championship. And so, he would hold both world titles for another 700 days after winning the WWE title. Which leads us to a little bit of a snafu. You have both world championships, and you put them both on a guy who you have planned to hold the belts for a very long time. And that guy also goes home a lot, stays home for most of the time. Remember back in Chapter 2 when we talked about some of the boys being marks? Well, some of the boys were marks. Not to name names, but legend has it, one of the guys got a little restless, and so they introduced the World Heavyweight Championship Mark IV. They haven't got rid of the Mark III yet. Let me just say real quick, look how they massacred my boy. They took the body of the best looking championship in wrestling, one of the best looking championships in wrestling history, and they ruined it by putting the big stupid fucking logo in the middle. Now, there was kind of there was a subtle WWE logo on the old one, but kind of begrudgingly accepted that. This isn't an anti-WWE thing. The NWA did that too for a little bit of time, and I also didn't like that. I feel like this is the type of belt, you're the world champion. That should transcend brand, right? That should be, you're the world champion. Here's the company, here's the world, you know what I'm saying? Instead, WWE slapped a big old WWE logo in the middle. Right there in the middle. Where you could see it. Even if someone like a football player wins a championship and they get the belt, they got the big old logo right there in the middle. So you could see it, like an Applebee's logo plastered over the Sistine Chapel. Next, this thing with custom side plates. Let me be clear, I do not like custom championships generally speaking. But now, every belt is a custom championship belt because they have all the little side plates. And you, right now, can go to WWEshop.com, get the fucking side plates, your favorite WWE superstar TM, registered copyright. Just for $99.99, you can also have the custom championship to your favorite WWE superstar. And you know what? Of course, the NXT ones are different than the main roster ones. Are you fucking stupid? That way the people who win titles in NXT, they can sell those, and then they go up the main roster, they can make new ones. Fuck it. Let's send some people back to NXT so we can get them some side plates for that shithole too. The place that really has an issue in this regard is AEW though. Not to derail, but let's derail for a second. Off the top of my head, 2 custom back-to-back trios championships for the House of Black and the Acclaimed. 2 custom custom championships in general for MJF. So many TNT titles. I gotta hand it to them for the Miro one. That one's pretty slick, I can't lie. I feel like being the champion, you should want to be the champion because being the champion is prestigious, not because you can make your own little pretty version of the belt. You know what I mean? Like, you should want to just be the champion. It's like, what difference does it make? Like, fucking Like using that AEW example, right? Or if you win like the international championship, and then you come out with a custom TNT championship. It's your custom belt. What fucking difference does it make? You could just be like, I like this design more. I like the TNT belt more, so I just made it the TNT title. It's kind of what they did with the MJF one. That was the whole deal with the American. It's fucking stupid. Custom belts are stupid. If you're like me, with a combination of too much time on their hands and some flavor of undiagnosed autism, you might be thinking, why make a whole new belt for Seth? Why not just give him this one or this one? I don't know. Solution is throw more championships at it. Just keep throwing championships at the problem and it'll go away. Give me the world title Mark 5. That'll work this time. Give us more mid-card titles. As of this very writing, WWE has announced that Women's Intercontinental and Women's United States Championships are on the way. During the pandemic era, they introduced Women's NXT Championships. They quickly ran out of things to do with these belts and unified them with the regular Women's Tag Team Championship. They made a new Cruiserweight Championship. They even had their own show for a while. It got unified with the North American Championship and the show got cancelled. There was a 24/7 Championship, harkening back to the heyday of the 24/7 rule of the hardcore title, defended 24/7. This was made because we got 3 fucking hours to fill on Raw. We gotta do something. Something's gotta happen. Plus, we can put it on mainstream sportscasters and football players and shit like that. Get that mainstream appeal. This belt was figuratively and literally thrown in the fucking trash just 3 years later. Only 3 months short of the lifespan of the original Hardcore Championship. Though also, barely mentioned in this video, light heavyweight and European Championships existing for just over 5 years and just over 4, respectively. The point, I guess, is that everything is transient. All things destined to be born are also destined to die. Sometimes life is about falling in love, getting a new house, getting a promotion. Sometimes it's about watching 2 grown men play fight over a championship that won't exist in 2 years. The important thing here is that we're doing it together. The words you hear right now were written on Thanksgiving Day. Hopefully edited the day after. Hopefully filmed the day after that. Hopefully edited the day after that. Tell you the words here right now are coming from my heart, and I didn't quite make that. But I'm still counting it. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. I'm thankful for you watching this video. Comment Raisin Bran below if you got to the end. Just for fun. Like and subscribe. You know, just cuz. You also comment things you liked about the video. You can comment things you would wish I would talk about. You can comment things you'd wish I'd talk about less. Tell me how your day was going. I'll read it. I don't get enough comments to not read all of them. How was your day? Let me know in the comments below. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. I'm thankful for you, and I love you.